I have disconnected the 550. So as you can see, my page won't load on the master side and also on the slave side. So now I have connected these two MikroTiks using direct cable, and let's see how the TCP looks. Okay, so I'm pinging and you see 0 milliseconds latency because it's connected directly. MikroTik 1 is directly connected using Ethernet cable to MikroTik 2. Unfortunately, we do not have a way of testing TCP using traffic generator, so we are gonna have to do bandwidth test and see what we can achieve using the bandwidth test. So this is a default setting. So because I chose TCP, this local UDP TX size and remote UDP TX size is grayed out because it's only for UDP. So on TCP, you do not have an option to choose the packet size. You can choose the direction. Let us start with the unidirectional and TCP connection count. We are gonna play with that. I'm not putting any limit on a local transmit speed and remote transmit speed.
So Chinmay, I see over here that it's doing 370, 365 Mbps, even though it's a gig port, right? So is that a discrepancy that it cannot go beyond a certain number?
Rather than word discrepancy, I would like to call it a tool limitation. So that's a MikroTik tool limitation, and I'm going to see how you can check that out. So right now, most of you would think, hey, my CPU usage, as you can see on the top right corner, is only 80, 85, not more than 90%. Why can you not get speed more than this? Because it's a gigabit port that I'm using. So even though my CPU utilization is under 90%, why this is the maximum speed? Let me quickly walk you through the MikroTik bandwidth test tool page. If you go to MikroTik website and check the bandwidth test, you will see the warning here. So bandwidth test uses only single CPU core and will reach its limitation when core will be 100% loaded. This is a RB3011 UIAS MikroTik model, which is on the latest software 6.42.7. This CPU utilization that you see, okay, right now it's on 50%, is not the true number. So that's exactly what I want to tell you. Don't rely on CPU utilization by looking at the top right hand corner, and let me show you why. If you run this command, system resource CPU print. So you can see here. So this router board 3011 model has two CPUs, and one CPU is 100% being utilized while other CPU is not. And that's exactly what we saw here on the MikroTik website, that no matter how many CPUs you have on your MikroTik, no matter it's a cloud router or MikroTik bandwidth test utilizes only one single CPU core. That's a tool limitation that we are hitting here. So even though we see here on the top right corner, it's showing only 50%, CPU1, which is the one being used for MikroTik bandwidth test, is being utilized fully. In my experience, what I have seen is best throughput when my TCP connection count is 100. So we have similar speeds, or it's getting higher and lower. I would like to take your attention to now local TX speed and remote TX speed. So right now we don't have any limitation on local TX speed. It is generating the TCP traffic at whatever maximum possible rate with CPU1 when CPU load on CPU1 is 100%. Let's see, and the throughput that we are getting is something around 300. Let's see if playing with these numbers are going to help or not. If I make it something around 350, let's see what happens. Okay, so it starts with 350, but it comes back to 300.
So Chinmay, basically you're telling that the tool limitation is you can only pump out one way 300 Mbps. What about two way?
Let's give it a shot. So as you can see, I'm seeing something around 130, 130. There is a way of making it higher. So I'm gonna play with these numbers, and again, you can see as we are doing this, we are hitting the limit. And it varies and it has discrepancies, and this is again, let me remind you, this is cable connected directly between two MikroTik routers, so there is no radio in between. So basically what I'm trying to say here is, if we have PTP550 on 40 megahertz, the throughput that we would expect would be something around 150, 160, one directional. Yeah, so 150 plus 150 or 160 plus 160 is something around 300, 320. So what I'm trying to say here is, because of MikroTik bandwidth test to limitation for TCP, we are hitting 100% CPU. We cannot test 550 link for anything more than 40 megahertz channel bandwidth. This was basically a demo to show that we hit the tool limitation for MikroTik routers when trying to do the TCP test, and you should carefully look at the CPU usage in this terminal window using this command, and not the CPU usage on top right corner.